Good day, people. Anybody listening? I just wanted to tell a story. It's kind of a story I used to kick around with my philosophy teacher sometimes when we would just be hanging out, bullshitting. But it's kind of an alternative view on history, and it has a lot to do with a lot of the topics I discuss in my video, and particularly Tesla, which is one of my heroes, brilliant, and ancient cultures, and the types of energy that I believe they were using based on the megalithic structures that they left behind. And well, let me start off with Tesla. We'll go to the future and then we'll back up. I talk about induction zones and the Earth's energy, the electromagnetic energy that it gives off, and how I believe that we can tap into it, or we can tap into any radiant energy that's pumping off of the TV towers and such, and we can probably charge small electrical devices and stuff using Tesla's technologies. But he obviously knew about the Earth's induction zones too, because he went up to Soda Springs and he was, screwing light bulbs into slabs of granite, and these light bulbs were lighting up, and then ultimately he was commissioned. The whole story is kind of sad and tragic, but to make it quick, he winds up building this huge mushroom tower, and he cracks this thing on, turns it on, pulling energy up out of the earth and such, and amplifying it, and he was sending out radiant energy all directions. I think it went out like 26 miles, and it kind of freaked out the people who were funding him, and they kind of shut his project down. But he was being funded by the elite banking cartels, who are, tied to secret societies and people who have guarded sacred knowledge for thousands of years. And when you look back in history, one thing that stuck with me when I used to absorb as much of Tesla's history as I could and watch all the documentaries and stuff is that he kind of died a lonely old man in his room alone. But it's kind of sad, but the guy was brilliant. But he used to sit in his room and look out the window and tend to his pigeons, and he would yell at the lightning, "Is that all you got? I can crack the world in two. I can crack the world in half." He believed he can pull so much energy out of the Earth's natural electromagnetic. He can disrupt it and cause serious issues with the planet. And then, I'm sitting with my philosophy teacher, and we're talking about the ancient societies and how there was this world society that fell, and the Bible talks about it. This ancient culture that was heightened, but it fell. And when you look around the world and you see that all these structures were built on these natural induction zones, like building a Tesla coil and plugging it into the wall and taking that wall amperage and sending it through the coil and shooting out those sparks and sending out the energy that way is just a process called induction. And if you were to build another smaller coil and be within proximity of it, that thing's going to resonate with it and give off amps as well. So I believe the pyramids were a fine example of this. This is what people who live within the zones of these pyramids probably had some kind of wireless electricity, hence no scorch walls, no scorch marks from thousands of years of torches and stuff in these halls and such. And there used to be these towers that stood up until just 100 years ago, called the Towers of Colossus, or the Colossus of Memnon, or Colossus something. I can't remember, but they had these stones in the belly, and every morning during the Earth's electromagnetic induction, they would resonate and ring out across the valley. I think some military soldiers came and blew them down or something. They tried to repair them and they couldn't get them to work. But my point is, imagine there was this global civilization and they were building all these monuments and all these fertile areas, and sucking the energy out of the earth. They could have caused a massive devastation, a global flood, and perhaps, change the poles, cause. I know that around 10,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago, this comet came in through the atmosphere and smashed into Alberta, Canada, and it laid to waste, a lot of the mammoths and everything, and it rose the sea level and such. But the Earth's electromagnetic shield protects us from that stuff, and if we were drawing energy out of it, maybe perhaps we pulled the guard, pulled the shield down a little bit from pulling too much energy out of the Earth, or perhaps we would cause earthquakes, or these guys were like geomancers, they were pulling so much energy out of the ground that it was causing major issues. So when that technology fell away due to too much devastation, maybe it's such a guarded secret that they couldn't allow that back out to the public. But what Tesla was doing was the same thing the ancients were doing. They would build these big structures on top of these natural places where the Earth's natural particular types of geology come together to amplify the Earth's magnetic field, and then they'd build something on top of that to amplify it even further. Maybe that's what caused the fall. And when you look at the radiant energy of a magnetic field, it gives off this circular energy pattern. And at the heart of that, if you draw it out two-dimensionally on a piece of paper, it's two circles within a circle that spread out. It's like the Vesica Pisces, or the flower of life contains that symbol. I have it represented here. Here's a tattoo I got. Let me show you. That's the flower of life symbol, which represents that radiant energy in it. I put the yin-yang in the middle, which represents the positive and negative energies. But three-dimensionally, it's a Taurus, and it's a source of free energy, or not free energy, but tapping into a source of other energy. But maybe we have to be responsible with that before we ever use it again. We've been in this what I call a implosive society, or an explosive society, or patriarchal society, where we build big phallic buildings into the sky and we blow things up. We use explosive energy, and maybe it's time that we find a balance between what I would call a matriarchal society, where we harness the Earth's energy, the Mother Earth's energy, and we use implosive energy instead of explosive energy. If we went too far in one direction and we used too much implosive energy, we pulled too much energy from the Earth, it could be a big problem. But on the other hand, if we continue this patriarchal path where we're exploding things, and using explosive energy, we're going to also do damage too. We're going to run out of coal and resources and stuff like that. So I think the wisest thing we can do in the future is to learn from the past and have a really nice balance of the two to move forward. Use some of the Earth's natural resources for explosive energy, and also tap into that hidden secret, ancient energy source, the Mother Earth herself, and use some of that as well, but keep a nice balance to keep the Earth healthy. It's just something that's an alternative view. Some people might not get what the hell I'm talking about, but me and my philosophy teacher would kick that around, and he thought it was a pretty brilliant idea to find a balance like that for our future's sake. And they're doing it right now. They're figuring how to tune into that radiant energy that's coming off of the stuff, the energy we're losing from our explosive energy sources. As we transfer all this power through the lines and TV broadcasts and stuff, we're just losing a lot of the energy that we've already created through explosive technology. So why don't we harness what we're losing, instead tapping into Mother Earth? Tap into that radiant energy. We can be charging our cell phones. We can power a lot of small devices around our house. And you know, a lot of people fear, you know, living inside this electromagnetic thing, it causes nausea and delirium, and you know, to get used to it. We live in an electromagnetic bubble, and if it causes paranoia, that's nothing but a heightened state of awareness. Learn how to deal with it. It can cause anxiety. Well, it can cause anxiety and depression are just too many ripples in our pond, or lack thereof. Consider we're mostly water, and our thoughts and emotions are vibrations. So imagine our body a pond. Anxiety is like throwing too many pebbles in that pond, and you just disrupt those waters, and it makes it difficult to sleep. That's why people who have anxiety don't sleep well. And once you stay up too late, and you disrupt your natural chemical imbalance. Remember, we need to be sleeping at 3:30 in the morning during the natural earth induction, when our brain's producing dimethyltryptamine and the chemicals that put us to sleep, and into REM, which is an essential psychedelic process we must go through to stabilize our minds every night. So sleep well first. But when you deal with anxiety, control the pebbles going into your pond. You know, each thought we put out is a electromagnetic vibration, and water corresponds to vibration geometrically. If you put positive thoughts into a cup of water, you can watch the molecules respond with sacred geometry. If you put negative thoughts into the water, you can watch those molecules disrupt. Just like certain notes on the piano will create geometry, and certain dark notes will disrupt it. That's why music's the highest art form. It triggers our brain chemistry. So depression is also another problem. You're oversleeping, and you start getting heavily reliant on those psychedelic things that are happening to you in your sleep. So when you come out of it, you're in a little bit of a delirium all the time, because it's like constant being in a mushroom haze and DMT haze. So if you're dealing with depression, I don't know how I got into this subject, but if you're dealing with depressions, consider the fact that you're not sleeping enough. You're sleeping too much, and you're disrupting your brain chemistry, and you need to probably rise with the sun and go to bed with the sun. Rise with the sun, you know. Work under the year of our Lord, under the day of our Lord, and go to bed, and adjust your brain chemistry. And if you're dealing with anxiety, it's the same thing. You need to, first of all, sleep properly and control your thoughts. Don't send out so many vibrations, you know. Meditate, do whatever you got to do to calm yourself. But yeah, I don't know how I got onto that subject. Oh yeah, people fear living in electromagnetic fields because of these things, but it's all around us. You know, it's not going to fry our brains or anything. So, anyways, this damn cigarette won't stay lit. I'll usually ramble in my videos till this is gone, so but I'm gonna leave it at that. Have a great day, people. Be blessed.